Smith's remarks. Remy, thank you so much for putting this together. On behalf of Governor Hogan and my secretary at the Maryland Department of Commerce, Kelly Schultz, thank you all for being here. A little bit about my background before we get started. So as mentioned, I manage offices in Dubai and Durban, and my goal is simply to help Maryland companies export. I've been going to the UAE since 2012, and my favorite show of the year. It's called Arab Health. We take 10 companies there a year in the life sciences, and they do very well. I'm going to miss going there this year. It's canceled in January, but hopefully we'll be there in June, where it's going to be very hot. So Remy, did you want to introduce the Sheikha and Arshi, or do you guys want to introduce yourselves, the panelists? How do we want to work this?
Everyone can get a chance to introduce themselves, which is always a better way to not leave anything out. And you can do a brief introduction, okay. Call the two up, and then we could go from there. Thank you very much.
So yeah, Sheikha, why don't we start with you? If you could just introduce yourself to us real quick, and then we'll go with Arshi. I think we had a couple panelists pull out at the last second.
Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be part of this Legal Global Summit. Good morning for people who's with us from US, and good evening for others all over the world. Actually, my name is Sheikha Al-Nuaimi. I'm Executive Director of Commercial Operations at Ajman Free Zone. Ajman Free Zone is in the Emirate of Ajman, and it's one of the 7 Emirates of UAE. Actually, Ajman Free Zone is one of the oldest free zones since 30 years, and I had been through 13 years of experience within Ajman Free Zone in different sectors when it comes to sales and marketing, customer service, and other business development elements. Starting with that, and we'll keep further discussions on the coming time, inshallah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I guess, Arshi, if you wanted to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to extend gratitude to the wonderful Dr. Remy for organizing and getting together this incredible list of honorable guests, distinguished people, and of course, a very dear friend of mine, Sheikha. She's been kind enough to come together and explain the entire process. Thank you very much, all of you, for having me here. I spearhead the Trustwood Trade Group in the UAE, which is primarily into manufacturing, oil and gas, in mining sector, biotechnology, and also into green tech. Additionally, I hold several positions in diplomatic organizations, royal family offices, various groups in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, and plenty. The list is extremely long, but we can take that as we go along. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Thank you guys very much. So I guess we'll get to it. We'll just, when I help a Maryland company export, we kind of go through some questions to see if they're, export ready for the UAE. Again, my office in Dubai helps out in other countries as well, but I would say 90% of the work that we do is in the UAE. And again, I'm really going to miss Arab Health in January. I'm in Maryland. It's a great escape for me in the middle of winter to go to sunny Dubai and 80-degree weather. So hope it does happen in June. Just kind of the world we're living in. So guys, let me start out with a question. And I guess Arshi, since we have you on, you can start first. But just a general overall view. Can you guys help identify some of the broader trends that are affecting some of the potential opportunities, affecting some of the threats of doing business in the UAE? So just a broad question for companies who are just thinking about going in. What are some of the trends? What are some of the opportunities? And what are some of the threats?
Well, thank you so much. I think the UAE's popularity is likely of a reflection of its status and as a model country, and in terms of regional, political, and economic safe haven. The nation really has developed this global reputation for its robust and diversified economy, which really encourages a can-do attitude among the residents and respectful towards religious and cultural diversity. I think what everybody needs to know specifically, this country is ranked #1 in the MENA region and 16 in the world for its ease of doing business in the World Banking Doing Business 2020. I think more specifically speaking, on a more broader overview, the strengths of the UAE includes its easy access to oil resources, low energy costs, willing to diversify the economy with a very high purchasing power. So potentially the key sectors of the national economy are quintessentially the oil and gas sectors that remain key for foreign investors. Other sectors can be aviation, automotive, construction, information, communication technology, trade, logistics, financial services, luxury, and so on. But very specifically highlighting, I think, high potential sectors can be aeronautical equipment and services, defenses, franchising, healthcare, education, electrical energy, equipments and services relating to oil and gas, renewable energies, natural resource management, and so on. I think now what we need to also specifically mention is the upcoming technological evolution in upcoming fintech, in blockchain, and so many online channels. The pandemic only expedited the entire process of adapting to that technology, but I think the UAE has always been at the fore when it comes to adaptation of technologies. This country has been extremely adaptive and flexible when it comes to technology and integration of these wonderful services to go on updating and have that attitude to adapt. So broadly speaking, I think these would be the key attractions, and I think we'll go on in terms of specifics. What would be the strong points for foreign investors? Definitely, we don't see any barriers because there's the barriers that were previously there, whether it was in terms of Arabic law or whether it was in terms of any easy cultural diversity. I think that has all been covered. We do have jurisdictions that work under the British common law in Abu Dhabi and moving on in the other Emirates. We do have a wonderful coexistence of more than 200 nationalities that reside in this part of the world. So when it comes to these basic barriers, I think that has been wonderfully taken care of, and we have to applaud the efforts of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. The other leaders of all the Emirates collectively have ensured that this leadership is making a very liberal outlook for every foreign investor to come together, invest in this part of the world, start businesses. And of course, I have never known a person who hasn't moved with family. This is a wonderful place to live with family, with kids, and we're always welcoming. I think Sheikha will only mention about certain specifics, but Emiratis and the Arabic people are wonderful people to work with, and it will only get better for the foreign investor once they're here. Thank you.
Yeah, I have some friends who live in Dubai, and their kids go to the American school and love it. Just a fantastic place for families.
So thank you.
So thank you,
Arshi, for your words. And always we consider that we are living at this country as one family, regardless nationalities or religions. We have grown up on this vision from our leaders. And if you will allow me adding on Arshi's growing sectors, let's say in UAE. First of all, I would like to introduce UAE is a non-country, which I will not elaborate on that, but I would like to explain that we do UAE consists of 7 emirates, which has its uniqueness and in economy, features, and potentials. So when we come to the strategic location of UAE, it's an important hub to serve trade routes from west to east and into Asia. So the UAE has become an international center to do business in finance, banking, manufacturing, and especially when it comes to logistics and free trade. So most of the sectors that has been grown is because the free trade zone that has been developed in UAE. It's one of the biggest growth drivers in promoting international business to come in this region, and attractive incentives in UAE had supported the trade zones. So most of the businessmen focused on trading and approach UAE as a preferred destination to start their business. Supporting on that, the lifestyle and the culture of the UAE present openness for various nationalities, as you mentioned, to drive and develop successful business. Adding on that, the UAE economy is considered one of the largest Middle East with its GDP value, and at 400 billion US dollars. So this diversity has grown number of sectors. Even in the mid of the pandemic, we had the health sector and let's say the e-commerce sector has been grown dramatically in such a period. So this is mainly some highlights from my side, adding on Arshi's words.
Great. So thanks, Sheikha, and we'll stay here with you. You know, this question is for the women in our audience. So every year that we've been going to Arab Health, we take, again, 10 companies, and I'd say at least half of those are women-owned businesses. Last year in Arab Health 2020, which was actually led by our Lieutenant Governor, there was a company called Sonave that actually won one of the pitches there, women-owned business, Sonave. So just wanted to know, you know, can you guys give some good examples of how, you know, women-owned businesses are faring in the UAE in 2020, and just maybe give some examples. I've got plenty, but yeah, I just wanted to hear about the overall business climate for women-owned businesses in the UAE.
Well, you're speaking to one. I have a successful business that I run, and so I think West, you're definitely speaking to one. And I think, like I said, the United Arab Emirates is a wonderful place, very specifically also for women-owned businesses, because we see this certain surge for whether they are VCs, venture capitalists, or for that matter, women coming up with these wonderful technology innovation and having that access to the ecosystem. Very, very important to mention that you may be an entrepreneur or innovator, but the fact that you have that ecosystem to support it is extremely important, and the country provides you with that. Number one, I think the free trade zones, and also in terms of the leadership, they have ensured that there is a place for women. In 2012, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, our Prime Minister, made it mandatory for women to be on boards, minimum one women to be on board of every organization. I think when you have policy that is supporting the fact that you need to have women at the fore, really encourages you as a person also to come forward and take those executive leadership positions. So most definitely speaking, I know of plenty of women who are leading these wonderful companies. We have this beautiful circle. We see wonderful women like Sheikha being at the fore of government free zones. And I think I can most definitely say that women are in a better place in this country because of the men, because we have this wonderful community of men that are supporting us, and their efforts are tireless, they are unending, and we are hopeful that we see more and more young girls and students to come up with ideas and prototypes, and we can support them in our best capacity.
So you are speaking to the second businesswoman brain. So it's
right.
You have a line of businesswomen here. Actually, today is my 6th-year anniversary in business, and that's all because of the support of the UAE government when it's given to women and men. Let's say for that we are completing each other, and we are not competing with the challenges that makes us only compete. On the other hand, the Ajman Free Zone itself supports businesswomen in creating special packages for them, and even for pioneers and freelancers. So any skilled, let's say, woman or even men's, we do support packages in equivalent let's say levels for both genders. We do have special packages for youth when it comes to startups, and we do have packages for freelancers who try to have their business beside their let's say jobs or their usual life, so they can practice their hobbies and convert it to a business. So we always focus on creating and this is because of the vision of our leaders, to create packages as a first foundation for either it's youths, women, men's, and all different type of, let's say, all different genders and all different nationalities. So we don't differentiate between any in firming those attractive packages. So it's very special incentive that has been done for business startups, and it's just almost 1,000 plus dollars to start their business, having their location, their license, and all their needed support to start business in UAE. So all this affordable package can support the starting journey of any business woman or man in the coming, let's say, future. And we always keen to and motivated from our leaders to find a better supportive solution for youth in this region.
Yeah, so
well,
you know,
just to
like I
add a
said,
little bit to that, I think what I'd like to add to what Sheikha mentioned in terms of the present status, I think women business owners account for about 10% of the total private sector in the UAE. 23,000 Emirati business women run projects worth over 50 billion AED and occupy 15% of positions in boards of the chambers of commerce and the nation otherwise. 66% of the government employees are women, and over 30% of managerial positions in various industries are taken over by women. So I think in terms of, and also very importantly to mention today, as of 2020, 50% of the Federal National Council, the FNC of the UAE, comprises of women. No other country in this world has that. So I think in terms of applauding the leadership when it has participation for women in at the fore has been incredible, and it only gets better.
Yeah, no. So again, when we brought the Lieutenant Governor Rutherford over to Arab Health in 2020, he was really just impressed with the amount of women-owned businesses that we had visited. Yep, I think Kimya, and he actually wanted to, you know, have us install, you know, some marketing to our Maryland companies, women-owned businesses. Hey, you know, the UAE, very you know, good opportunities for women-owned businesses to go over there and succeed and thrive, and just plenty of resources to make that happen. So I'm glad I asked that question. We hit it out of the park with that one. So I have a couple more. So let's go back to, you know, a company that wants to look into the UAE and some of the questions they might ask. And we kind of covered this a little bit earlier, but can you guys give a breakdown of the type of, you know, consumers there are in the UAE, and maybe how they differ from the rest of the Middle East region? So, you know, if I'm a company and I'm not quite sure, and I need a little bit of breakdown of the consumers, just give a little, you know, information on what that snapshot, your consumer snapshot, looks like.
So you mentioned in terms of the opportunities industry-wise, or in terms of the setting up of the businesses where the maximum high potential. I think we mentioned that in the beginning in terms of what the high-performing sectors would be.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, some high-performance sectors, maybe, you know, just you know, what the buying power is for the average consumer in the UAE compared to the rest of the Middle East. Yeah, just whatever
You're talking to a nation where every single person is either a millionaire or a billionaire, where we are talking about a very huge purchasing power. There is a very indefinite industry of luxury that exists over here. And I think one other nation that could possibly say that in a certain capacity, I think in a very, very specific certain capacity, would be the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But of course, the liberal attitude and the fact that there is a very huge exit and entry of people, it's a very transient population as well. And that really helps in terms of the luxury life that exists over here. Again, that is also because of the infrastructural abilities of the country, which we have to applaud in terms of how a desert really turned into this beautiful oasis. And again, it's the wonderful vision of our leaders who have made it happen to reality. So in terms of purchasing power, this country, and I think women have maximum purchasing power in this part of the world. For sure, I can say that much more than the men. But the men do enjoy their luxuries, and men do enjoy their But on and all, I think in terms of the purchasing power and the opportunity that lies with the average consumer is extremely high. And that's also one of the reasons why the industry of luxury products, commodities that really thrives. And in terms of technology, I think we have seen the largest exits that have happened in the entire Middle East in the last couple of years. We've had Souk with Amazon, we've had Kareem with Uber, large American giants taking over companies at billions of dollars. So when it comes to consumerism, I think this country is in a fairly good place, because on an average, the purchasing power lies of around, I think, more than $100,000 per family, more than that possibly. So I think that would probably sum it up in terms of an average family. But of course, we have this huge population that is of the expatriates, and most of them do qualify in the categories of millionaires or billionaires.
Thanks.
So, Brain, I would like to add on that. When we'll be, as I mentioned, the UAE is a hub of trade. So today, your destination of users, let's say, of people benefits from your manufacture, it's either a distributing to the local market, or exporting to other countries. So there is no limitation in the market of UAE only. On the other hand, we have signed as Ajman Free Zone with e-commerce hubs, which considered our distributors. So even in the mid of the pandemic, our companies and manufacturing company have been selling their items through the e-commerce platforms, and that helped them to continue their manufacturing chain and their supply chain. So as you know, the e-commerce sector is growing dramatically in the UAE and all over the world. So this is one of the supportive channel for investors who would like to start business in UAE. On the other hand, there is very large firms of manufacturing companies which chosen the UAE as a destination to do their business, and they are growing and expanding year after year. So that expansion comes because of the purchasing power in that local market, and also in GCC and Asia when it comes to exporting the free trades goods that they manufacture in UAE. Adding on that, maybe focusing on the Emirate of Ajman itself, we have developed a state-of-art infrastructure that supports this, let's say, exporting and importing, let's say, logistics. And that's because of our strategic location near to Ajman port. It's an industrial zone which is stick to the port and helps people to transfer their goods from Ajman itself and also from the other emirates. So having a solid infrastructure that helps all companies to tick the box and choose Ajman as a location to start their business. We have a number of companies that have started in 90s, early 90s and end of 80s, and they are growing day by day. I'm meeting our business partners last week and even today, and they are looking for an expansion area, which we work on this demand to supply them with a new warehouses to store their items and to manufacture. We do have a new project that will start in Ajman Free Zone or be launched in February 2021, but the booking has been already started. There's a very high demand on those warehouses. There are 80 warehouses, but the booking is dramatically increasing day by day on this project, because there is a high demand for manufacturer companies and industrial companies to choose Ajman as a location to start their business or expand their business from other emirates or from other even continents. So we really welcome all people who is hearing us today in this conference, and we are here to support them with their needs. Maybe Arshi, you have something to add on that?
Well, I think definitely, like you mentioned, manufacturing has dramatically increased. There has been a very huge surge in e-commerce, and technology has seen some really major exits during this pandemic. I'm aware of firms that we are certainly invested into in capacities. I think they have had dramatic exits in the last 3 months, and actually the last 2 quarters, very specifically speaking. So I think that in entirety defines how the market has exponentially grown. And of course, like you mentioned, whether it has been in terms of people expanding. I know many of them who are expanding and are looking for more and more opportunities to invest into. That really speaks boundaries about what an average consumer, and also like you mentioned in terms of the relationship that the UAE has. It's the flag bearer of the entire Middle East when it comes to entry and exit points, import and exports, which are extremely heavy. And I think what the people and the attendees need to know, the UAE has been given the most favored nation title by almost 149 countries that really enable bilateral trade and bilateral trade in terms of goods, commodities, and also the retention of talent, of the wonderful infrastructure and the life that this country enables you to have. So I think purchasing powers, consumerism, and that has exponentially increased in the last 2 quarters, thanks to the pandemic. I think Brian has been. Brian, are you there?
I was muted. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I got bumped off, and then now I'm back on, having some technical issues. So I think this is my last question, just a general question, and maybe we can open up to some of the audience, or you guys can, feel, free form and talk what you guys want to, what you think's important. But just from a company, how easy is it to set up a company in the UAE, as far as, getting registered, those certain things? What kind of resources can a company use to help set up?
Well, I think I'll just speak from a business owner's perspective. Perhaps Sheikha can give a much more definitive view when it comes to setting up in terms of the entire documentation, compliance, and the costs. Because the Ajman Free Zone, in my capacity, since I'm invested also in Ajman Free Zone, I can say they have one of the most seamless setting up of business, wonderful management, and the entire team has been extremely proactive. The first step in my capacity that I would suggest is you have to determine a legal entity, choose a trade name, apply for a business license, choose for an office space or a virtual office depending on the type of your business, get pre-approvals, register your business, get your license. There is actually no minimum capital requirement in most of the free zones. Like, for example, whether it is in Kizad or in Abu Dhabi, or 2454 in Abu Dhabi, or the Dubai Airport Free Zone, DMCC, which is the multi-commodities, or for that matter in Hamria Free Zone. I think what is important to know is the kind and the type of your business really ascertains the type of your license as well, whether it's a trading license or a service license that needs to be ascertained, and the kind of initial approvals are not too many. You don't need too many papers to be able to start, and the entire process in our capacity is I think less than a month that I have had, and perhaps Sheikha will be more specific when it comes to the Ajman Free Zone. But most of the free zones and also LLC licenses are extremely are extremely economical, and the entire process for licensing, and for that matter even visas, are extremely streamlined, fast, efficient. I think whether they are the free zones or the mainland companies, everybody enjoy the services that are led by the government, whether it's the economic department or the ministries. All of them are functioning extremely efficiently. And I think with the pandemic, we've seen a major shift of these services going completely online. So we have our courts, which are streamlining the processes also. Now you don't need to physically go to the courts to be able to even sign for the license. You can do that online in Abu Dhabi and in other Emirates. So I think we've digitized these services very, very largely. And as a business owner, I have multiple licenses in Abu Dhabi, in Sharjah, in Ajman. So I can safely say that These happen very fast in terms of whether it is just also the visa and the immigration for any workers you need to employ. All of that can be streamlined from the beginning, depending on the jurisdiction that you are attempting to be a part of. So very important for anybody who's starting businesses. The nature of your business will determine the start point, whether it needs to be the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, more specific to the sectors that are relevant there, or Dubai, media, technology, or for that matter, manufacturing, Ajman, Sharjah. Your activity will first determine your standpoint, but of course, it's important to have that with the correct jurisdiction that streamlines the entire process, allows faster approvals, allows faster enabling of hiring employees, gives you that entire ecosystem. So for example, I'm aware that the free zones are helping you out, whether you're a manufacturer, they're helping you with e-commerce distributors. I think Ajman Free Zone, for that matter, has been wonderful in getting the entire ecosystem together. So there is an opportunity once you determine the nature of your business. Starting point could be any of the Emirates, depending on the nature of your business. And opening of bank accounts, or whether it's the basic compliance, is not a headache in the UAE. If all of that is streamlined from the beginning and you have the right partners to handhold you, it is not a very difficult process. It could be completed even faster than less than a month. It has happened in the past, and I think whether it's manufacturing or technology, or for that matter, trading or healthcare, education, these are all sectors that we have specific licenses for, and depending on the nature of your business, licenses are allotted. And I think Sheikha will tell you the entire process more definitely, because she comes from she's having the background of the government and how they are able to do it. But of course, I can safely say that since I'm invested in the Ajman Free Zone, they have been wonderful, they have been seamless, and we are hopeful that our relationship with the Free Zone is continuing to thrive even in the times to come. Thank you.
Thanks, Arshi.
So thank you, Arshi, for that. And we are proud to have you one of our investors and representatives. Mainly we have focused on our vision in simplifying business to amplify success of our success and our investors' success. So when it comes to that, we have created our electronic platform to start your business. So you can start your business and your business setup from your place. You don't need to travel and come to UAE or to reach to our place in order to start your business. So we have focused to have it hassle-free, smoothly start your business setup, and we have a team that are working with the investors more as an advisor rather just to serve them in their setup process. So when any investor just put in his mind that he's willing to invest in UAE and still he don't know how to what to select and what to do, just by raising that request on the website or calling Ajman Free Zone, our advisory team in the sales help him to select the specific activities that he can work on, the location that suits his business. So all this advisory help is done by our team. When it comes to starting the registration process, that takes only 1 working days for our investor to get his license in a place. We take care of all approvals with the government. We take care of all the processing of his visa and his workers' visas too. We take care of all government approvals when it comes to even opening the bank account. We have some of our strategic partners like Ajman Bank and Al Mashriq Bank. So we take care of even smoothing their process with the banks. After opening the business, our journey with our investor doesn't end to that level. So, Ibrahim, we have initiated number of added value services after starting the business. So if the investors looks for insurance services, we have a special rate for our investors. When it comes to the logistics services, we take care of such services with the client, providing the best price in the market, recommending number of companies, because as you know, Ajman Free Zone attract foreign investments, which needs our guidance and our advisory tips on what to select and what to do and what's the best for them. So we do care about their logistics, their transportation, their even residential areas. So our team works as an advisory for our business partners. So it's not only about getting your license or your rent to start your business. That goes much farther, because we believe in the success of our investor. If our investors are successful and doing their business successfully, we'll be proud, we'll be feeling this achievement with them. So it's our role to complete the journey. It's our role to support them to be successful. We have a very high level strategic partnership with Ajman Port. So when it comes to traders, the process is digitized. All the processes are digitized, from setup, from clearance, from approvals. So even from the payment, you can pay your setup fees from your place by using your business, your credit card or your bank transfer or wire transfer option. So all these let's say digital platforms are in a place, and you can start your business from anywhere from the world.
That's great. When we took Lieutenant Governor Rutherford over, we had a chance to visit the Dubai Smart City Accelerator, and just thought that was such a wonderful asset for the UAE, for companies to come and have a nice place to set up shop, get all the resources. We sat in on a couple meetings, and just had all kinds of mentors that were helping these companies grow and thrive. So we were very impressed with the Smart City Accelerator when we visited it. It's just an incredible asset. And I think you guys have, that's not the only one. You guys have more incubators and accelerators as well.
I think plenty of accelerators existent in all Emirates. Like I think I'd like to add that it's existent in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, more specifically, and the most robust community being in ADGM, which is a wonderful ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurs, innovators to come together and have access to that infrastructure to be able to scale their companies. Like you mentioned, accelerators in Dubai, smart city, blockchain, innovation licenses also in the IFC have been recently initiated, and asset management allocation licenses have also, there is a way to turn that and have that much faster, because we have these wonderful third parties supporting the companies in the DIFC regulation. Also, for that matter, in other parts of the Emirates, we have these wonderful initiatives by the government to be able to create that community. I think the investor base, the access for the consumer base, the infrastructure for the technology to function, subsidies that are offered by the government specific to the line of business. And I think that the list is going on and on when it comes to incentives for these, because technically there is 0 personal tax, 100% company ownership, 100% repatriation of capital and profits, no currency restrictions, and 100% import and export tax exemption that are offered to certain kind of businesses. So I think that the list could go on and on when it comes
very
to
friendly.
Wonderful initiatives that the government, each emirate-wide, has taken, and I think all of them are doing a wonderful job in terms of attracting. Sorry for the glitch. In terms of attracting more and more investors to come together, the UAE is not just the second home, but now the first home of many investors, and I think that's a very proud place to be in. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Sheikha, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I would like just to add that when it comes to which sectors are growing in Ajman Free Zone, we focus on growing number of let's say type of business when it comes to a full supply chain. So we do have companies in healthcare sector, education sector is there, and we do welcome international universities to open branches in Ajman Free Zone. As you know, the Emirates of Ajman is supporting education when it comes to the main strategy of the UAE. We encourage international universities to have a place in UAE, and to choose UAE as a middle hub of our destination for international students to get their lecture and classes as a branch of their universities. Adding on that, we offer 100% foreign ownership when it comes to free zones. So we do welcome all investors from all over the world to invest in such a destination, which will offer 100% foreign ownership, which will offer a zero taxation zone, which we don't have any VAT applied in our zone that is identified as Ajman free zone area. We do have number of incentives that we would like people to take opportunity and benefit from it in this pandemic. We welcome manufacturer companies, trading companies, freelancers, SMEs, startups, all of them to start their business from Ajman free zone. Our sales representatives are ready to assist anyone within the day of the conference or after that to support them on their inquiries. And maybe we'll be answering a number of those inquiries within our sessions today.
Yeah, great. So I think we have a couple minutes left. Did we want to take some questions from the audience? Okay. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe we've got a few minutes left.
Brian.
Arshi. Yep. Hello.
This is Dr. Brisley. There is a question. Can you see the Q&A up in your screen?
I cannot. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in a remote look, so I'm using everything through my phone, so I can't see.
Gotcha. Okay. The first question is, does Ajman free zone fall into the strategic location? How far is the port and airport? Is there any e-commerce partners?
So I will be elaborating on this question. First of all, thank you, Mohammed, for such a question. Ajman free zone is stick to Ajman port, and when it comes to the other ports of the Emirate, it's just a distance of 20 minutes to other ports. We do have ports in Sharjah and Dubai. All these ports are as a distance of 20 minutes to 15 minutes driving on the highways. When it comes to e-commerce partner, yes, we do have a strategic partner, which is noon.com. It's a non-international brand that support e-commerce in different goods like clothes, gold, diamond, food, when it comes to consumer.
Are you open to working with startups from the United States, focusing on smart cities?
Well, I think obviously, like we mentioned, this country is extremely open to innovators and entrepreneurs, not just with smart city, but in every capacity that you can possibly anticipate. I think this is the only country in the entire Middle East that has a specific crypto regulation, very robust ecosystem for the companies to come together and have access to family offices. Trusts and companies led by the royal families have access to sovereign partnerships, and of course having access to this entire investor base also of Saudi Arabia, because they are extremely well invested in the regulation and the entities in this part of the world. So not just smart city, but I think everything that you can possibly anticipate if you're an entrepreneur, innovator, company, product, service, feel free to reach out and participate in reaching out and achieving your UAE dream, because for most people, for most companies, this part of the world can really help you. And there have been plenty of success stories, large exits in the past, to be able to fact that with information. So more specifically speaking, whether it's smart city, integration, blockchain, upcoming fintech, crypto, tokenization, very specifically also speaking, having crypto exchanges, I think this country has, like I mentioned, been the flag bearer in the entire Middle East when it comes to liberal access and openness to adapt to the upcoming world trends, whether it's from the United States or from the European Union. We are very good with each country, and I think that's what really speaks volumes about the peace and stability that exists in this part of the world. We are extremely neutral, and that really helps startups and innovators to expand, having access to the Asian subcontinent, and also keeping their hands in the Middle East and of course in the West. So I think from that standpoint, we are in a wonderful place, and most specifically speaking, every jurisdiction in the UAE is supporting that vision for sure.
Great. So I think it's 10 Maryland time. So I think that ends our panel.
Well, we have a couple more questions, Brian, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Our next panel is at 10:20, so we can field a few more. What is the opportunity for agricultural business and its value chain in UAE?
So I'll be elaborating on this question, and I'll be happy answering, especially when it goes to agriculture. UAE has been supporting the security of food strategy plans, and agriculture, one of the sector that is we do focus on it and support investors in such field. So we do have new projects that support and fits agriculture companies which like to invest in that. We had been approached by a number of companies, and we are starting in the level of negotiation now, especially from Israel. We had a great discussion in when it comes to solar companies and agriculture. We do have investors from US. Also, discussion is going on in huge investments for food security projects. So it's one of the growing sectors in UAE, feeding the strategy plan of the Emirates and Ajman Emirates specifically. So this is my reply on the agriculture. Adding on the technology and the startups from USA, I just want to add that the technology companies has been grown more than 100% in this year. People focus on starting their business on technology platforms. So we do welcome startups from US, and the process is so streamed, and there is no any challenges when it comes to a certain nationality, as we mentioned previously. So this is my my inputs on the questions, and maybe Arshi can add anything from her.
Thanks. I think somebody needs to hit mute. We can hear some background. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, are we still all here?
I would like to elaborate on one of the questions in the Q&A. It's mentioned by Bahra. I heard he mentioned that I heard Sheikha saying that VAT is not applied on Ajman free zone. We would like to clear it on that VAT is applied on the UAE, but there is some exempted areas that they are exempted from VAT. So Ajman free zone is one of the areas that has been exempted. We do have a number of buildings that is not VAT exempted. So according to your type of business and your plans, you will be located in the correct zone that supports your business. So that's part of our advisory, who will be focusing on having you in the correct region. But most of our industrial zones for importing and exporting purposes, it's VAT exempted. Zero VAT is applied on the rent and other procedures.
Great. Okay, so I actually I thought this was ending at 10:10. I have to jump off. I have a call in 2 minutes, but I wanted to thank Sheikha and Arshi. I hope to see you guys in June for Arab Health 2021. I'll be there with a delegation of 10 healthcare companies. So look forward to meeting you both in person. You guys were a wonderful panelists. Thank you so much for answering all the questions in great detail. I certainly learned a lot and hope it was valuable to everybody else.